Woody Wommack and Adam Gorney here in lovely Los Angeles for National Signing Day, and we are joined by a special guest, Iowa coach Kirk Ferentz. Coach, we staying warm out there in the Midwest here on Signing Day?
I tell you, it's balmy here today. It's in the 30s, so we're loving it. Not a lot of sun though this past week and a half.
We know you really had a chance to kind of relax and sit back. You put a lot of finishing touches on the recruiting class early on, but tell us, how overall happy are you with what you guys were able to do in wrapping up the class of 2020?
Well, as you guys know better than I probably, it's almost anticlimactic right now the way things have gone. And I was just walking down the hall a couple of hours ago and asked one of our young recruiting guys, and I think they told me like what 88% of the prospects were signed back in December. So that's certainly reflective of our program. We had the majority of the class signed back in December and added 2 names today. So we're happy about the way things finished. Really feel like the group embodies the things that we're looking for when we go out on the road recruiting, and there's always an athletic component to that. But we're looking for guys that are going to be good, good team players, guys that are going to work hard, really love the game, be good teammates. And the other thing about when we go out and look, we're really not taking a cookie-cutter approach. We can't afford to do that. And it's something I learned when I was here as an assistant in the 80s, that, if you're looking for those obvious great players, chances are they're going to Ohio State. So better keep looking. And fortunately, we've been able to find a lot of good players that, can play at a high level, and they usually just have to work a little bit harder to get there.
Not only signed in December, but committed almost, I believe, your entire class before their senior seasons. Was that anyway by design? Is that just a byproduct of the early signing period to try to get those commitments early, or did it just kind of work out that way?
It's interesting. I think it's just kind of the way it's been, and as you well know, everything's been slid forward now. So we're, having to do evaluations a little sooner. Like most of us, or at least any of us that are smart, would rather do it after a player is done with his career, kind of like Veld does. And even then, they make mistakes. But you'd prefer a player to be done. But I think it's just the world we're living in right now. You got to make a decision a little bit sooner. So it makes all the work that you can do that much more important. But that's just a sign of the times, certainly, and. With everything moving a little faster, it just kind of changes the tempo of your schedule, the way you operate. The good news, I guess, is that, December's and especially January's are a lot less hectic than they used to be. And really what we do in January now is what we used to do in May. So for the most part, and the other thing I just interject, we signed whatever it was, December 20, whatever it was back in December. I can speak to our last 2 classes. I'm pretty sure every one of our guys would have signed had the date been July 31st or August 1st. And quite frankly, I'd really prefer that. I think it'd be better for the prospects and better for the coaches if we could move the signing date, true early signing, move it up a little bit, so players won't be getting hassled during their senior years. And I think it'd be better for everybody. Again, knowing that, there's no reason a guy has to sign at that point. He'd still have the freedom to wait until, February if he chose to.
You mentioned how important it is for you to go out and evaluate and then develop guys. You've made a living by making us look bad in the rankings every year.
Not necessarily by choice,
right?
But especially at the tight end position, we saw, of course, George Kittle play in the Super Bowl, and you just had a couple guys go really high in the draft. You got some tight ends in this class, so kind of give us a breakdown of what you really liked about them and what they're going to bring to the table.
A couple of things. I was talking to somebody a week ago. I said, it's interesting. You got the 2 marquee tight ends in the game right now in that Super Bowl. And, Travis Kelce grew up in Ohio, but he didn't go to the State University of Ohio. And, so he was not a heralded prospect. And George was on his way to Weber State. And the main reason we recruited him, I coached his dad, 100 years ago in 1981. So I knew his dad, knew what his dad was all about. He was a captain on our first major Rose Bowl team. Coach Fry's first Rose Bowl team. But the real secret is his mom was a great basketball player, Drake, a great athlete. So when you're seeing George play, that's where that athleticism comes from. But those guys. The good news is there's stories out there each and every year, and I think if you look hard enough, you have a chance maybe to uncover some of those guys. You got last year C.J. Hawkinson was a guy that was really probably under-recruited. Noah Fant was highly recruited, and rightfully so. Great speed and transition for 2 guys we have right now. Elijah Yelverton, who has started school here 2 weeks ago. Really good, we think a good young player from Dallas, Texas. And then Luke Lachey, whose dad Jim was a great player at Ohio State and in the NFL. Luke's a guy that we feel like he checked every box for us too, and so we're really excited about both those guys joining our program.
Another position group that really gets loaded up at Iowa's offensive linemen. I think 9 of 29 players in the NFL this last year played on the offensive line. Who do you see in this group that can kind of emerge over the next few years as that level player?
You know, they're all three kind of very different players. Josh is a big physical inside player, Josh Volk. Tyler Ellsbury is a guy who is a big guy as well. He's cut weight. He's down to 285, looks great. He's wrestling successfully in Illinois. And then Mason Richmond's a guy I really thought was under-recruited. I liked him as a defensive player as well as offensive, but we're going to put him on the offensive line. He probably weighs, I'm guessing, 270, 265 right now, but he's tall, he's got range, and I think he's got a chance to be one of those guys that, 2 years, 3 years down the road from right now, you might not recognize him. But all three of those guys play at the good tempo. They're all a little bit different packages, offensively.
All right, Coach. Hey, we really appreciate you taking time out of your day, and good luck as you get out there and chase the class of 2021. Well,
it never ends, as you guys know. So we're in the midst of that. We had about a 5-hour meeting yesterday on that, and we all survived. So, we'll keep swinging the bat. But I appreciate being on the show. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks, Coach.